Phaeton is a hypothetical planet. What happened to Phaeton was a catastrophic event that tore the planet apart, sending its fragments flying out into space. These fragments then became the asteroid belt that now exists between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. So, our first Planet X system flyby scenario will be a Phaeton event. Here we see Earth on the opposite side of the Sun, but poor Phaeton is a bone to be chewed as Nibiru and Nemesis close in on it. This, we postulate, was the destructive force that tore poor Phaeton apart. Visitors who take the Universal Studios tour of the Red Sea scene from the movie, The Ten Commandments, are given a great insight to a real feat of cinema magic. However, when we remove the magic and the allegory from the story and reorder the plagues in scientific order, the first plague of Exodus becomes number 7, thunder and hail. What the reordered story of Exodus tells us is that meteorite showers falling on us from the dust disk surrounding Nemesis is the first plague. This plague will repeat itself as Earth is pelted by this dust disk. We'll see meteorite showers the likes of which we could not imagine. The damage of these meteorites will be substantial and long-lasting because they'll contain something called schrebersite, a deadly combination of iron, nickel, and phosphorus only found in meteoric iron. The iron in the schrebersite is what caused the first plague in the biblical account, namely the turning of the waters to blood. To understand why, simply visit a local brickyard. They'll tell you that in order to make those wonderful red bricks we use to decorate our homes with, they add iron to the mix. This is why the iron in the schrebersite will once again turn our waters to the color of blood, and it will result in a dramatic reduction in potable drinking water for all of us. Meanwhile, the phosphorus in the schrebersite plus warmer surface temperatures, such as those we're already seeing these days, will trigger huge blooms of blue-green algae. These algae blooms will generate vast amounts of microcystin, which is highly toxic and can kill plants, animals, and humans. And here in our illustration of the Exodus scenario, we find Earth on the opposite side of the Sun, just as it was during the Phaeton event scenario, with one notable exception. This time, there is no Phaeton. So, what we've seen with these first two scenarios is that Earth was fortunate enough to be on the other side of the Sun during this final stage of the Planet X system flyby. So, what happens if we are not so lucky the next time? In a 2008 Project Camelot interview, government whistleblower Bob Dean announced that our worst fears would be realized during this coming flyby. That Earth would be on the wrong side of the Sun as the Planet X system began its downward track back into the furthest reaches of our solar system. No doubt, astronomer Carlos Ferrada saw this as well when he predicted that during this coming flyby, Nibiru will come within 14 million kilometers of the Earth. Consequently, the pole shift, as envisioned by Carlos Ferrada and predicted by Edgar Cayce, will happen for the very reason given by whistleblower Bob Dean, that Earth is just simply going to be at the wrong place and at the wrong time, and so it will be a real tribulation for humankind. First will come increased seismicity, which is already happening, followed by increased volcanism, which also is already happening. Then there will be the deep impact events that many of our modern astronomers and scientists are warning us about. And then will come the tidal forces of Nibiru and Nemesis as they gain a lithosphere lock on Earth. Then they'll pull the skin of our planet around. So now the big question is, will the pole shift happen in our lifetime? Well, the government knows for certain because they've got the fluidic computers. But as the old saying goes, they don't share well with others. The best we can do in the meantime is, well, take our best shot. You decide. Novelist Ray Bradbury put it most eloquently when he said, something wicked this way comes. So then the issue is, by what route, or trajectory if you will. We're going to look at that next. But also we're going to look at something I call the backside. Whenever I do a podcast or a video, I always close with, and this is Marshall, and I'll see you on the backside. So what is the backside? Well, it's when we see blue skies once again. So let's get started. Pole shift trajectory forecast begins with an anonymous hero, a government whistleblower only known to us as Nibiru Shock 2012, who first revealed images acquired from the South Pole Telescope in January 2008 of the Planet X system. In these enhanced images he shows us a brown dwarf mini-constellation with its own planets and moons. And what is interesting is that this brown dwarf has a tail, which tells us it is going to be an awfully dirty thing. Then on October 10, 2012, the 00 Skyview team released their video, A Dark Binary Star, and the object they were viewing with a highly advanced amateur telescope bears a striking resemblance to the one captured with the SPT in January 2008, and there are others. On July 28, 2013, we published our video, Planet X System Observations and Orbital Analysis, with our own observation of Nemesis made by Jorge Arena during a business trip to Lima, Peru. On the last leg of his journey from El Salvador to Peru, he captured this rare image of Nemesis through the clouds at the sun's 7 o'clock position. Then on January 10, 2014, YouTuber Stargazer Nation posted a feed capture from the Soho Lasco C3 camera. In it we clearly see Nemesis, or the black star as Carlos Ferrata called it, again near the sun's 7 o'clock position. Frankly, we were amazed to see that he got this imagery, as we routinely see these kinds of images scrubbed off the Soho site nearly as fast as they go up. But like they say, the early bird gets the worm, and so our hats are off to Stargazer Nation for a brilliant piece of citizen journalism. He nailed it. The Nemesis brown dwarf star is the smaller companion to our own Sol, and like Sol, Nemesis has its own planets as well. Of particular interest to us is its outermost planet, Nibiru. We first reported our observations of Nibiru on February 11, 2013, with our video, Object of Interest as Seen from the Turrialba Volcano. Our observation efforts began in mid-December 2012 with an email from an expatriate who lives at the base of the volcano. We subsequently began observing this object on January 5, 2013, which I initially named Bluebonnet. We tracked it from a surveillance camera at the top of a Costa Rican volcano located 10 degrees north with a clear view to the southwest, called Turrialba. We tracked it a few hours before sunset each day for months and amassed hundreds of image captures from 2 different surveillance camera systems. Early on, we suspected it was Nibiru, and on July 12, 2013, the 00 Skyview team posted a video titled A Cyclical Storm Brews, confirming our suspicions. Their finding was that we in fact were observing Nibiru, the outermost orbital of Nemesis, in the constellation Ophiuchus. That being said, the linchpin for this pole shift trajectory forecast is not Nibiru. Rather, it can only be one object, Nemesis. For this reason, we'll use the January 10, 2014 Stargazer Nation capture of Nemesis from the Soho Lasco C3 camera as that linchpin. And so here is our pole shift trajectory forecast, starting with the Soho observation in January of this year. Here we see Nemesis and Nibiru in conjunction with Earth on the opposite side of the Sun, with Nemesis just below the ecliptic and Nibiru just above. Keep in mind, Earth is already seeing evidence of increased solar radiance, resulting in a corresponding increase in seismicity and volcanism. Also keep in mind a 2008 Project Camelot interview with government whistleblower Bob Dean about the coming of Nibiru. In that interview, Dean was quite explicit in his statement that the flyby would occur while Earth and Nibiru are on the same side of the Sun. And so our pole shift alignment forecast is for some time after 2016. We are also very certain that sometime in 2016, both Nibiru and Nemesis will be naked eye visible from everywhere on Earth. This will likely be about the time Nemesis reaches its point of perihelion with Sol, in other words, its closest distance to our Sun. The pole shift event will occur when Nemesis crosses the ecliptic on its outward leg to the furthest reaches of our solar system. At this point, both Nemesis and Nibiru will be in opposition to Earth, and that is when their combined tidal forces will gain a purchase on the lithosphere of our planet, thereby causing a pole shift in which every major body of water will come out of its basin. During this time, we will see both Nemesis and Nibiru, and our planet will also be pelted by the Nemesis dust disk. Also, there will be catastrophic interactions between our Sun and both Nemesis and Nibiru, resulting in catastrophic solar storms, which will scorch the surface of our planet. This will be a time when we need to take refuge below ground. Likewise, there will be terrible impact events all throughout this flyby, and these will leave lasting scars on the land and turn our summers into long winters. But worse yet will be the earthquakes created by this solar onslaught and the ensuing volcanism. And for those living along the coastlines, death will befall them with brutal walls of hydraulic sandpaper, grinding them apart. Then will come the coup d'etat, a catastrophic pole shift event that will be as harsh for those living under the ground in the safety of their bunkers as it will for those living on the surface. The elites will suffer harshly as well. And in these times we will see old lands fall beneath the waves as new lands rise up, and once Nemesis and Nibiru are beyond our sight, we will look up to see an ugly sky. But remember, this too shall pass, and in the fullness of time, this ugliness will fade away from human existence as we enter what I call the backside, a time when we see blue skies once again. And as those who survived this flyby start to sort themselves out, Mother Nature will wash clean these new lands with powerful rains, and in time, life will come to the barren wastes. Then in the fullness of time, our planet will once again become a verdant paradise, lush and green. And those who make it to the backside will taste the clean, sweet waters of a new reality, and humanity will once again hear the laughter of children at play.